Savitri, Book 7, the Book of Yoga, Canto 1, The Joy of Union, the Ordeal of the Foreknowledge of Death and the Heart's Pain. All love was hers, and its one heavenly cord bound all to all, with her as golden tie. But when her grief to the surface pressed too close, these things, once gracious adjuncts of her joy, seemed meaningless to her, a gleaming shell, or were a round, mechanical, and void. Her body's actions shared not by her will. Always, behind this strange, divided life, her spirit, like a sea of living fire, possessed her lover, and to his body clung, one locked embrace to guard its threatened mate. At night, she woke through the slow, silent hours, brooding on the treasure of his bosom and face, hung o'er the sleep-bound beauty of his brow, or laid her burning cheek upon his feet. Waking at morn, her lips endlessly clung to his, unwilling ever to separate again, or lose that honeyed drain of lingering joy, unwilling to loose his body from her breast, the warm, inadequate signs that love must use. Intolerant of the poverty of time, her passion, catching at the fugitive hours, willed the expense of centuries in one day, of prodigal love and the surf of ecstasy. Or else she strove, even in mortal time, to build a little room for timelessness by the deep union of two human lives. Her soul secluded, shut into his soul. After all was given, she demanded still, even by his strong embrace unsatisfied. She longed to cry, "O tender Satyavan, O lover of my soul, give more of love, while yet thou canst, to her thou lovest. Imprint thyself for every nerve to keep that thrills to thee the message of my heart. For soon we part, and who shall know how long before the great wheel in its monstrous round restore us to each other and our love." Too well she loved to speak a fateful word, and lay her burden on his happy head. She pressed the outsurging grief back into her breast, to dwell within, silent, unhelped, alone. But Satyavan sometimes half understood, or felt at least, with the uncertain answer of our thought-blinded hearts, the unuttered need, the unplumbed abyss of her deep, passionate want. All of his speeding days that he could spare, from labor in the forest, hewing wood, and hunting food in the wild sylvan glades, and service to his father's sightless life, he gave to her, and helped to increase the hours by the nearness of his presence and his clasp, and lavish softness of heart-seeking words, and the close beating felt of heart on heart. All was too little for her bottomless need. If in his presence she forgot a while, grief filled his absence with its aching touch. She saw the desert of her coming days, imaged in every solitary hour, although with a vain, imaginary bliss, a fiery union through death's door of escape. She dreamed of her body robed in funeral flame. She knew she must not clutch that happiness, to die with him and follow, seizing his robe, across our other countries, travelers glad, into the sweet or terrible beyond. For those sad parents still would need her here to help the empty remnant of their day. Often it seemed to her the age's pain had pressed their quintessence into her single woe, concentrating in her a tortured world. Thus, in the silent chamber of her soul, cloistering her love to live with secret grief, she dwelt like a dumb priest with hidden gods, unappeased by the wordless offering of her days, lifting to them her sorrow like frankincense, her life the altar, herself the sacrifice. Yet ever they grew into each other more, until it seemed no power could rend apart, since even the body's walls could not divide. For when he wandered in the forest, oft her conscious spirit walked with him, and knew his actions as if in herself he moved. He, less aware, thrilled with her from afar. Always the stature of her passion grew. Grief, fear became the food of mighty love. Increased by its torment, it filled the whole world. It was all her life, became her whole earth and heaven. Although life-born, an infant of the hours, immortal it walked, unslayable as the gods. Her spirit stretched measureless in strength divine, an anvil for the blows of fate and time. Or, tired of sorrow's passionate luxury, grief's self became calm, dull-eyed, resolute, awaiting some issue of its fiery struggle, some deed in which it might forever cease, victorious over itself and death and tears. The year now paused upon the brink of change. No more the storm sailed with stupendous wings, and thunder strode in wrath across the world. But still was heard a muttering in the sky, and rain dripped wearily through the mournful air, and gray, slow-drifting clouds shut in the earth. So her grief's heavy sky shut in her heart, a still self hid behind, but gave no light. No voice came down from the forgotten heights. Only in the privacy of its brooding pain, her human heart spoke to the body's fate. End of Canto 1.